Welcome to Stuff and Whiskey. I'm Josh.
And I'm Erin.
And today we're talking about why you can't find the bourbon you love and what to do about it.
Welcome to the channel, bringing a real-world perspective to the real-world whiskey consumer.
Bourbon is booming, hype is high, and you might not be able to find the bottles that you love or that you're looking for. But why is that the case? And what can you do about it? We'll discuss that in just a minute. If you want to skip forward, we have chapter markers down below. But first, we got to get into our first sip where we try something we've never tried before. And it's totally blind, so we don't know what it is. We don't know what the label is, what the hype is, whether we're supposed to like it or not. This is how we like to review whiskey so that you get our most honest opinions possible. Let's get into it on the nose.
So for me, this has some classic bourbon flavors. That being said, it's kind of smelling earthy to me as well.
If this is what I think it might be, at least from the distillery that I think it might be from, you tend to get that. To me, this is really classic bourbon. It's sweet. It really reminds me of like a popsicle. Like
so what
like a grape or cherry
distillery
popsicle.
do I say this on?
Buffalo Trace.
Oh, I do?
Yeah. More of the well-aged stuff. You get a little bit more of the earthiness, the tempered sweetness that comes from the oak. I'm
getting kind of like earthy kind of dirt.
I might be totally wrong.
Less grass. It's more like dirt earthy.
Yeah. It smells like classic bourbon, just sweeter than classic bourbon. Like classic bourbon that somebody has put sweetener in.
And for me, it smells like classic bourbon that somebody has put dirt in. I don't know.
Let's get into the palate and see what we're working with here.
It tastes sweet.
Are we having two different experiences here? Because I said sweet on the nose. You said earthy on the nose. You're saying sweet on the palate. I'm saying earthy on the palate.
It's like sweet, like almost like painfully sweet right here.
Yeah. It's like the sugar soaking in into your cheeks.
Yes.
And it is kind of like that, but there's a nice amount of oak and barrel kind of cutting the sweetness a little bit back on the palate, like further back on the back of the tongue.
Let's try it again.
Yeah, one more sip.
It's still pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm getting like a really sweet cherry popsicle type of note.
Yeah.
A lot of cherry. I'm getting a ton of cherry. I can even like think of like a strawberry jam in my mind, but it's a little darker than that.
Okay.
It's not quite as bright as like a strawberry jam. There's a little bit of barrel in there, and it's a really enjoyable pour to me. It might be too sweet for you.
Well, it is pretty sweet, and I will say, after tasting it and then going back and smelling it, it smells sweeter to me now after I've tasted it than it did before I tasted it.
Let's get in one more sip, a third sip, before we give this thing some proper ratings. We want to do our due diligence and give it its proper dues or something. Third sip. Here we go.
Here we go. Yeah. I still stick with everything I said.
Okay. On that third sip, the oak is really carrying out much more on the back end of the palate. Overall, this is pretty enjoyable.
Yeah.
At least for me. Let's find out what we're drinking. So this is Knob Creek 12-year 100 proof.
Yeah.
Wow. This is so much more fruity and sweet forward than most Knob Creeks.
Is Knob Creek is his own distillery?
This makes perfect sense now that I know what it is. So this is Jim Beam Distillery. They make Knob Creek, 12 years old, 100 proof. This is a product that is available in some markets for about $70 a bottle.
Okay.
This is a product that hits our market very infrequently for $70 a bottle.
Okay.
100 proof makes perfect sense. The cherry forward note that I get on some Knob Creek 120 proof picks that we get in our market, which is we're flush with those, but we're just not flush with the 12-year. That cherry note is there. This is fantastic. I love this.
Okay.
Wait, did we even give our ratings? We didn't give our ratings.
I don't think we did.
We got.
Well, I already had mine.
Here's the problem. You already have yours. Now that I know what it is, it's hard for me to not be biased about what it is.
Did you have some preliminary ideas like of what you would give it for taste?
Yeah, I did.
Did you stick with those?
I did. I have to stick with those.
Stick with those.
I wasn't 100% sold on it. I was just so impressed by it that I was ready to get to it. Like I wanted to know what it was. So, oh man, I'm bummed.
Stick with it.
Nose flavor experience. Where are you at?
So I giving it 2 thumbs up on the nose.
Yeah.
just okay on flavor, and just okay on experience. I didn't like. It was fine. It was just too sweet.
Really?
Like
That's fair. You don't like sweet stuff.
It smelled really good. It smelled like classic bourbon.
Yeah.
A little bit earthy.
Yeah.
Perfect for me.
That's fair.
It did not taste like that.
That's fair. For me, I was going to go 2 thumbs up on the nose, and I will stick with that. I'm going thumbs up on flavor, thumbs up on experience.
Okay.
It's really good. It's very sweet. The oakiness that is there is really nice for the age. It's wild because we have, in a previous first sip, we did Knob Creek 15 year.
Okay.
And we did not like that even close to as much. Knob Creek 15 year was too far on the oaky side. This is leaning more towards the sweet side, which kind of puts you off a little bit, but is right in my wheelhouse. This is really good. As far as our local market goes, not an available product.
Okay.
It drops every once in a while. It doesn't fly off the shelves, but it is $70. It's 100 proof. What do you think about the retail side of the equation here? And then we'll talk about, as consumers, whether we would buy it or not.
I mean, I feel like giving it a thumbs down is too harsh.
For
But
what it is, yeah.
For what it is, because it's not bad. If you like that flavor profile, it's good. So I'm gonna give it just okay
And
on retail.
And to have a 12-year age statement,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a just okay on retail as well.
Yeah.
If it were more readily available, we know from friends that this is readily available in markets such as Chicago. It would be a 2 thumbs up as far as I'm concerned. To get a 12-year age stated.
It would probably still stay just okay for me.
Oh, okay.
Because $70 is like
It's pushing it for you.
It's a little bit pushing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, $70, would you buy it again or not if you ran across a bottle?
I personally would not, so I'm giving it a thumbs down.
Okay. I'm giving it a thumbs up for sure on buying another bottle. I'm not sure it's a product I would stockpile, and if I could never get my hands on it again, I would not cry myself to sleep at night. But it is really good. I'm super happy that we have a bottle, thanks to Bill in Chicago, that was able to get us a bottle down here. From there, we almost never see it in our market. It's been a while, so maybe we'll see it again soon, and I'll probably will buy a backup bottle at that point in time, because I do like Knob Creek.
You do, yeah.
And I love when Knob Creek can get cherry forward like this glass is. Speaking of loving things, if you love this channel and what we do over here, then check the video description below for a link to our Patreon. Over there, that's the interactive element of the channel, as we like to say. You can get bonus content, 2 additional videos that are uncut,
unfiltered,
where there's just no cuts. We just run the tape and you get what you get. They're a little shorter, not always blind. We also do blind flight nights, sample shares, giveaways, all kinds of stuff with our Patreon community. You can check out that in the video description below.
Yes, and if you also like this video so far, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, give it a like, and if you like Josh's shirt, you can get it at stuffandwhiskey.com. This is one of my favorite shirts. I'm actually looking at redesigning this for like a muscle tee for me to wear, because I don't usually wear like this kind of crew neck tee very often, except for sleeping purposes. No. So I'm gonna try to design a shirt for me with this Fight the FOMO that I'll wear on the channel. Yeah. So anyway, all that being said, check it out. We've got tons of stuff over at the shop, and we'll have more coming soon. And tying into our main topic, what do you do when you are looking for bourbon that you want or you love and you can't find it? We are all about fighting the FOMO, the fear of missing out. I don't know if I pointed the letters in the right spot. I think you did.
But if you want to fight against that, we're going to talk about that a little bit today. So let's get into it. Okay. We want this video to be helpful and informative. And we've broken this down into a couple of categories. Okay. So there's different reasons why you might not be able to find what you're looking for. And number one reason is probably going to be distribution issues. We see this in our videos all the time in the comments, where we will post a video about a product and we'll say that we love it or we like it and it's readily available in our market, and somebody will comment and say that they have never seen it in their local market. And the truth of the matter is, with distribution, sometimes you just can't get stuff in your market. It just doesn't exist. Just like this Knob Creek 12-year in our market. It's very spotty as far as distribution. This is almost the perfect pour for this particular bullet point.
That's so funny.
And it was the first bullet point on our notes list.
That's so funny. Yeah, we literally had to get this from someone that lives in a different market before we could try this.
And not that it doesn't pop up in our market, but it's just so rare. And there's other pours that I really like 1792 Bottled and Bond, that are the same way. They don't pop up in our market almost ever. It's like a once a year release, or maybe 2 or 3 times at most. And when they're gone, they're gone. You can't find it. There's other products in other people's market that just don't even exist.
Yeah.
Like we love New Riff over here. There's plenty of markets that don't get New Riff. We've talked about Blade and Bow as a Blanton's alternative. Plenty of markets where Blade and Bow just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So if you're in a market that just doesn't get a product, you know, it's all right. Like, I know it sucks that you can't get your hands on what you want to get your hands on, but there's plenty of other whiskey on the shelf. Don't fret.
Yep.
Look for some viable alternatives. Even just going to Google and searching blah, blah, blah alternatives.
Yeah.
Particularly go to Reddit. I do not mess around with Reddit. It's a crazy world over there, but they are really good at recommending alternatives. The second reason you might not be able to get products in your market is supply chain issues, particularly here in 2022 when this video is releasing.
Yep.
Everybody's talking about barrel shortages, glass shortages, all the stuff.
Yep.
Everything we've heard is the glass shortage is a real thing. And it seems to be affecting some of the major distilleries that do high volume of low price product more.
Yep.
Like, for instance, Jack Daniels, Wild Turkey, Jim Beam. A lot of the single barrel offerings that get released in a smaller batch number, like single barrels are small, they're the smallest of batches because they're just one barrel, but even smaller batch products like Rare Breed Rye from Wild Turkey, which you guys know we love over here. Glass shortage is the number one cited reason for those shortages that are happening. So what we've noticed in our market here in Nashville, where Rare Breed and Rare Breed Rye used to be always available, now we'll get Rare Breed Rye for a month and it'll drop, and then once it's gone, and we're not going to see it again for 6 months.
Yeah.
And Rare Breed Bourbon is like every few months that we'll see it drop, and then once it's gone, and we won't see it again.
Months.
Yeah. So glass shortages are a thing right now in 2022. I don't know what we can do about it.
How much?
It's not exclusive to the whiskey industry. Like, there's a breakfast cereal that I particularly like, and I haven't been able to find it for 3 months, and I am highly irritated to the point of being blood red mad about it. But there's nothing I can do because stores just aren't getting it in. Yep. So I don't know what we can do about these supply chain issues other than wait it out. But I think it is helpful to know that this stuff isn't on allocation. There's not a scarcity to it. It's just not available right now for one reason or another. We'll get past this eventually. Let's just all stay calm, keep our pants on,
and drink whiskey.
Yeah.
I like it. You got to keep that in there, but that was so random.
Store policy is another big reason why you might not be able to find the whiskey you like. The bullet point is store policy. Really, it's artificial scarcity. Or like there's a lot of demand for a product that is in supply, like Blanton's or Weller Antique 107. Like Texas and Ohio, they're not having problems getting Weller Special Reserve or Weller 107. There's a lot of states that don't have a problem getting Blanton's. But if you're somebody that's looking for those products and you never see them, or you see them marked up for astronomical prices, and there's like this whole story around the hype and the hunt behind them, they're not scarce. There's plenty of that stuff out there.
So it's an artificial scarcity.
Right. And they hold the stuff in the back room. Your store owner might be holding stuff in the back room. And I'm not saying go in and ask if they have Blanton's in the back. Don't be that guy or girl. Not millions, but like in any given store, they can deal with tons of phone calls, and over the course of a year, probably thousands of people coming in asking for that stuff. It's not scarce, it's just not put out because there's a lot of demand for it, and they hold it in the back for their customers that are loyal or regular
tactic,
or they save it for year-end lotteries or raffles or things like that. It's just good whiskey. It's nothing special. There's
more good whiskey out there.
Right. So if you can't get your hands on it, we'll talk about what to do about that in that scenario in a minute. The fourth thing, the bullet point of why you can't find the bourbon you want, is actual supply not meeting demand. And that's a real thing. There are products that fit in that category, particularly the really well-aged products. As age goes up, obviously it takes longer to age whiskey.
Right.
So higher aged whiskey is harder to get your hands on. So something like Weller 12 is really hard to get your hands on. It doesn't come out all that often, and there is a lot of demand for it. It doesn't fit in the same category as something like Weller Antique or Blanton's. And there's other products that aren't well aged that fits in that category as well, like Elmer T. Lee. They don't make a lot of it, and everybody's looking for it, which is why you might see it price gouged for a really high price. but it's not the whiskey itself that fits that price point. It's the demand that is outstripping the supply or outpacing the supply rather. So let's talk about what to do about it if you can't find it. So what do we do when we can't find the whiskey you want?
We cry and write in our tear journal.
No,
I'm just kidding.
I'm literally wearing the shirt. It tells
we
you.
Fight
we fight the FOMO. Exactly. So we have 3 ways to do this. There's 4 reasons you can't find the whiskey you want. There's 3 ways to fight it. Try new products.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's so many new products out there.
Yeah.
So like my mind is blown every day with how many new products that you just bring home.
Yeah. A little bit indicting, but nonetheless.
But it's true.
Yeah. If you can get past the hype and you can really evaluate a pour for what's in the glass, like we've got a bottle of Wilderness Trail. It's a store pick. It's a group pick. That goes head to head with anything that Buffalo Trace makes below 100 proof. I'd much rather drink that than any of the other stuff. Like we've got New Riff. We've talked about that on the channel plenty of times. There's plenty of Wild Turkey products that are available. Like there's a lot of stuff on the market that you can get your hands on that is every bit as good, if not better for your palate than the hyped up stuff that everybody talks about. And you'd never know it if you didn't give it a chance. So give it a chance. Try something new. I personally would highly recommend finding a local store where you can talk to the spirits manager or the store owner and you can communicate to them the type of products that you like, and then that they can then recommend something that is in the same flavor wheelhouse.
Use their expertise to kind of recommend an alternative for you.
Exactly. And that's a perfect start of a relationship, to start visiting that store frequently. They'll get to know you. And honestly, that's probably one of the best ways to get your hands on some of the hyped up stuff as well. So that's the exploration avenue.
Okay.
You're exploring new whiskeys. The second is expectations. And this is going to be really short. You can't collect them all. These aren't Pokemon. I've never played Pokemon, but I don't think you can collect them all. I think that's the whole point, right? You can't collect all the whiskey bottles. You probably don't have the budget to do it.
Or the space.
Or the space, or the time, or the whatever else.
Or the lifespan.
Right. So let's be real about the fact that you can't literally try everything there is out there.
Yep.
This is a perfect segue into our third point, which is the experiences you have with friends and new relationships that you build, not necessarily through store owners, but through other people who might be local to your market, or like what we do in our Patreon where we share samples and things like that. You can get plugged in and you can start sharing samples with other people and trying things that you might not have access to in your market.
Which we can personally speak to. We've got the opportunity to try a lot of really cool products because we've shared with other people and other people have shared with us.
Absolutely.
Just through our Patreon. Like people have shared with us, we've shared with them, and it's like we would never get to try some of the things we've tried without that. Absolutely.
I mean, if we get a bottle of Elmer T. Lee or Weller 12, which we did, we're not even drinking half the bottle. Half the bottle's going out to other people to share, and we're trading samples around, or we're just being generous and letting other people try it. And Bourbon Karma's real.
And other people do the same,
Yeah, Bourbon Karma's real. You put that out there in the world, and it comes back to you, and people share samples with you. By far, we've gotten to try way more things than we ever would have because of relationships and connections built, rather than just sticking with what we could get our hands on and like hoarding it and hermiting it to ourselves.
Things that have become some of my favorites have started out because someone let us try something that they had.
Yeah. And I will say 100% for sure, the connections and the community and the relationships that we have built in the whiskey space far outweigh the best bottle of whiskey we've ever tried. So,
and you don't have to have a YouTube channel to do this. You can do this through like social media groups, through just in-person groups, just friends that you have. Start a little group where you just trade whiskey and talk, and you don't have to have a YouTube channel to experience new whiskeys.
And if there's not one where you live, start it. Be the change you want to see in the world.
So I think we've said all we need to say about this. So let's get into some other stuff.
Yeah, let's check notes.
What we got?
Okay, so this video is coming out in the thick of the summer, right?
Yes.
Things are hot. It's hot. It's sweaty. You might not want to...
Is it hot and sweaty?
Well, in Tennessee it is. Like we used to have, 10 years ago, we used to have 100% humidity, 100 degrees. Things seem to be cooling off. We haven't had one of those summers in quite a while. But nonetheless, you don't want to necessarily be drinking barrel-proof bourbon neat in the heat of the summer.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some summer drinks. As a channel who typically drinks bourbon neat, And a lot of people who watch our channel tend to drink bourbon that way. Some of us can get in our bubble about only drinking whiskey neat out of a Glencairn. And that is fine and well until summertime hits and it's the heat of the summer.
Is it fine and well though ever?
I think so.
I disagree, but
I think so.
let's carry on.
But it's not during the heat of the summer. So we're going to talk about, for other stuff, stepping outside of your boundaries, outside of your preferences, because what I have personally found as a neat sipping Glencairn whiskey enjoyer, that there are some products on the market that do a really good job on ice, and that it's honestly the perfect summertime sipper. For me, for this particular category, anything in this unchill filtered or non-chill filtered, like those tend to stand up to ice really well, especially as higher proof. So particularly Maker's Mark store picks, any of the private selection things are really good on ice, or even just the Maker's Mark cask strength or the 46 cask strength. I don't know what it is about it. It's so good on ice. Jack Daniel's single barrel proof, if you can get that in your market as well, so good on ice. And pretty much anything else kind of in that vein. Knob Creek 120 proof picks. There's a lot of things that work really well on ice. Now, we don't mix a lot of things. We'll get cocktails if we go out. And cocktails are a great summer option because they're cold.
Cocktails are a great summer option. They're cold, and you do make a few cocktails for us at home if we have the ingredients.
Yeah, and they're usually pretty simple. Something like a Negroni, which is not whiskey-based, or a Boulevardier, which is a whiskey-based, bourbon-based version of a Negroni, where you just take a bourbon and Campari and a sweet vermouth, and you mix them equal parts. Maybe put in a little bit of orange, like a slice of orange or some garnish, and that's good. It's a little bitter. It might not be for you if you're like new into cocktails. If you like bitter stuff, like sweet / bitter, it's a great choice. But we're going to bring in mixers here. So we don't tend to I feel like adding whiskey to Coke is just ruining a good Coke or a good whiskey.
To me, that's like I'm at a baseball game or like an outdoor concert event. That's like where I do like my Jack and Coke. That's when I specifically do that.
Like a frozen Jack and Coke at the Sounds games.
At the Nashville Sounds baseball games, they do like a frozen Jack and Coke, but I'll also do a regular Jack and Coke, but it's normally like an outdoor summer event.
Right. But we're not at a game. We're just hanging out with family or friends or whatever, and we're outside. It's hot. You want something to mix with whiskey. What do you like to mix with whiskey? I feel like you always ask me about ginger ale.
Jack and ginger. I do a Jack and ginger, Jack and ginger.
So ginger ale is a great choice. It still has a lot of sugar. You know, it is what it is. But for me, I love unsweet tea, unsweet lemonade, 50-50 Arnold Palmer style. I have something in my throat. Stand by. Boy, I was dying through that. But nonetheless, unsweet tea, unsweet lemonade, half and half with some bourbon in there or rare breed rye, because it's kind of already honey lemon-esque. Dude, it's so good. Like that on ice is the perfect summertime sipper. Keeps the calories down. It's not too heavy. You don't end up with like a sugar hangover or anything like that. Highly recommend checking that out if you're into Arnold Palmer's and you're into whiskey. Last up, beer. But not any beer. Don't tune out just yet. We're a whiskey channel. I don't actually tend to like most beers. Like there are some beers that I do like. I like stouts and porters, and I'm not big on IPAs, and I'm good on good lagers, but like not the Bud Light, Coors Light, whatever. But for whatever reason, I don't know why, if you like some of the tartness, like the sweet tartness that you can get in whiskey, I would recommend maybe dabbling in sours a little bit.
Sour beers,
So this is one of our favorites, Dr. Robot's Blackberry Lemon Sour. Blackberry, lemon, both notes you can kind of get in a beer. This stuff is so good.
And they're out of Atlanta, Georgia, right?
They are. And it's probably not available in every market, but like right up the road, you know, we've got local breweries that do sours and grouses and things like that. While we do tend to gravitate towards whiskey or wine or white wine or whatever, these are so good. And you know what?
Are you going to drink one?
Why not?
Let me try.
It's
summer.
You get the tartness, you get the sweetness. It's really, really good. And there are some parallels between whiskeys. Like honestly, I can drink that and find notes, especially the blackberry note. I can find that in here. But there's a lot of craft distilleries or breweries out there that are really, really good.
Yeah.
And you might actually like it just because you're quote unquote a whiskey person and not a beer person. Try something like a sour, step off the beaten path a little bit. Something like some of the ales that are a little bit out there. You might be able to find something that you really like that's not Coors Light or Bud Light or, you know, Heineken or something like that. It's a whole world out there. So explore, have fun. It's a summer. That's what we're here for. And if you're here for more of what we do here on the channel, check out the video description below for our email address, stuffandwhiskey@gmail.com. Your viewership allows us to do a lot of cool things, and we really appreciate it. And one of those things is a charity fundraiser every October for mental health. Check that out in the video description below. Send us an email if you want to be a part of raising money for a good cause. Last year was $15,000. This year, we're trying to get the word out early and often. We've got over 4 times the subscribers now. So
we'd love to double it, but maybe we can 4 times.
I mean, if math holds right, like maybe we could with your help. So hit us up at our email address down there below. That's going to be it for this video. Now I've opened sour and I've got that to drink. So we're going to go ahead and sign off. Till next week, guys.
Cheers. I have to go potty.
It's a party emergency.
Party emergency.
I'm going to leave that in.
I should start speaking in French.
To incorporate.
Say that.
I can't do French, but I did do 2 years of high school and 2 years of college French.
You did French in college?
2 years, and I can't remember Jack except Je m'appelle Josh, tu t'appelles. And that's literally it.
And they don't say that anymore. It's very formal.
What do they say?
Like.
Je suis Josh?
Like, je m'appelle Josh. Bonjour. Je m'appelle Erin. Ça va? Ça va?
Ça va, that means you as what?
Like, how are you?
Oh, ça va.
Like, you good? You good?
Muy bien, muy bien, muy bien. Gracias.
No.
No, that's Spanish. I'm ready. Wait, I'm not ready. Welcome to Stuff and Whiskey. I'm Josh.
I'm sorry, Erin.
That was so dumb. I don't even know why I did that. What is happening? Welcome to Stuff and Whiskey. I'm Josh.
I'm Erin.
Welcome to Stuff and Whiskey. I'm Josh.
And I'm Erin.
And today we're talking about why you can't find the bourbon you love and what to do about it. Do something, bro.
What?